Hey y'all. I recently had a comment left on a video I made, and the comment said that our government isn't broken, it's working exactly as designed. Now, I've been thinking about it ever since because it was written kind of, meh. But he's not wrong. And I think that we actually should be having that conversation, so let's do it. Let's talk about a guy named Plato, ancient Greek philosopher who lived around 400 BCE, student of Socrates. He wrote a book called The Republic, and in it he laid out his theory of what government should look like. And here's something that doesn't usually get talked about enough. Plato hated democracy. He thought it was unstable. He thought giving equal voice to unequal people was a recipe for chaos. His ideal government was run by the wisest, what he called philosopher kings. I don't think we have that right now. People who had achieved true wisdom and understanding would lead, and everyone else would just fall into their proper role below them. Now, Plato was also an aristocrat, born into wealth and privilege, so take that for what it's worth. But here's why this matters right now. His fingerprints are all over our system. The Senate wasn't directly elected by the people until 1913. That's over 100 years after the Constitution was written. The Electoral College was specifically designed so the masses couldn't directly choose the president. Supreme Court justices serve for life, accountable to no one after confirmation. That's not democracy, that's Plato. But here's the part that I really want you to take in, because this is where it gets interesting. The founders didn't just read Plato, they also read a philosopher named Aristotle, who was actually Plato's student and who respectfully but thoroughly disagreed with him. Aristotle was what we'd call an empiricist today. He needed to see some evidence. Before he drew any conclusions about government, he actually studied 158 real governments. Not theories, real systems, real outcomes, what worked, what didn't. That's remarkable for any era, but let alone the ancient Greek era. And his answer was different from Plato's. He said the best practical government is what he called a mixed constitution, one that deliberately balances the power of the few against the many. Not because people are inherently good or wise, but because when one side dominates completely, the whole system corrupts. He had a specific word for unbalanced rule by the wealthy: oligarchy. And he considered it just as dangerous as an out-of-control mob. What he wanted was something in between, a system where neither side could fully take over. He called that a polity, legitimate self-governance. That's where checks and balances come from, not idealism, strategy, a deliberate design to keep any one faction from seizing total control. So, at that commenter, I hear you. The aristocratic instincts were baked in from the beginning. Plato's influence is real and worth naming. But Aristotle's question, the one he'd be asking right now, is which side of that balance is winning? And if you look at who writes the tax code, who funds the campaigns, who gets the regulatory carve-outs, you already know the answer. The guardrails were built specifically to prevent this. Checks and balances weren't just a civics class talking point. They were Aristotle's answer to Plato, a way to keep the aristocratic instincts from swallowing the whole thing. The problem is guardrails only work if someone's willing to use them. And that's on us, as a polity, as a people. I'm actually working on a longer Substack piece diving deeper into this, the philosophical roots of our system and how they connect to what we're watching happen right now. I will be dropping that when it's ready. It's not ready. In the meantime, I'd love it if you could maybe leave a comment. Do you think our guardrails are working? I don't. I think that this commenter and I, though, we have more that we agree on than maybe you think at a first glance. And that's the trick that we have to stop at the top. We all agree on this kind of stuff.